So with all the recent attention over the last couple of months about the Spire Academy, more so even than LaMelo Ball, people are talking about the 7'7" giant that's not even on their team, Robert Bobroczky. And even myself, I made a video on this guy just over a month ago, and that video is on almost 1 million views. So obviously, a lot of people are looking at giants like this and thinking, could they end up being NBA players? And if not, why not? And if you guys watch Robert play, he honestly struggles to walk up and down the court, and to be honest, I can't really ever see him being an NBA player. However, a couple of years ago, there was a guy who was basically the exact same, except this guy was more coordinated than Robert, and also he was way more mobile, and also taller than him. So you'd be thinking this guy would be worldwide famous pretty much like Robert, but this guy wasn't. And a big reason for that was because he came before kind of social media era and the whole YouTube hoop mixtape era. And that player is the guy I'm going to be talking about in this video, and it's Paul Sturgess, otherwise known as Tiny from the Harlem Globetrotters. So before this video starts, I'd just like to say we are doing a daily December. We're uploading a video every single day, and it's just been crazy so far. We set out with a goal of getting to 70,000 subscribers. We're now nearly at 82,000, which is just unreal. If we get even 85,000 by the end of the year, that would be unbelievable. And if you guys like basketball content, obviously subscribe. You've got another 12 days to go after today. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. So 11 years ago, Paul became famous for being the world's tallest teenager. Between the ages of 15 and 16, he grew from 6'2" to 7'2", and then topped out at 7'8". He's actually in the Guinness Book of Records as the tallest professional basketball player in history, at 7'8" and weighing 325 pounds. When he finished secondary school or high school in England, he actually declined some offers to play professional basketball in Europe and decided to pursue basketball in the United States. But even though he turned down professional contracts in Europe, he didn't have any Division I offers. In his 4 years of college basketball, he played for 3 different colleges. He played for Division II Florida Tech, then he played in junior college for Brevard Community College, and then played for Mountain State in NAIA. There's no stats for him at all playing in NAIA or Division II, however, he did average 2.3 points per game at the junior college level, which wasn't great. After finishing college, there was very little interest in him. Throughout his 4 years playing college basketball in the States, there were NBA teams constantly monitoring his progress. A lot of them thought that he could become a legitimate player, especially because when he first came over for someone 7'8", he was very coordinated. So a lot of NBA teams, a lot of scouts just kept an eye on him. Obviously they weren't seriously considering taking him, but they were keeping an eye on him through the years because at his height, 7'8", and being as coordinated as he was, you never know, he might have just became an NBA player. However, obviously that wasn't the case. And in 2011, he decided to join the Harlem Globetrotters, where he got the nickname Tiny. However, 2 years later, when he was 26 years old, he left the Harlem Globetrotters. So even though his college career was a bit of a flop, and he never really played professional basketball for 2 years, he ended up signing with the Texas Legends of the NBA D-League. It took a couple of years, but there was finally an NBA team intrigued enough to give him a chance. It was believed that he could become a player that could play a couple of minutes a game and just be really effective. Obviously not anywhere near what Boban Marjanovic is doing right now, having the highest PER in NBA history, but that type of a player, a guy who can come in and make an instant impact, affect shots in the defensive end, get boards, and just cause havoc in a couple of minutes on the floor. However, the crazy thing is they found out he hadn't done any real training between finishing college and signing for the Legends. While he was with the Harlem Globetrotters, he never did any real basketball training, and they found out that he actually struggled to put his hands above his head, which, as a guy who's supposed to block shots, is something that's fairly important even if you are 7'8". He ended up playing 13 games in the G League, and in those 13 games scored a total of 11 points and didn't get a single block. After leaving the G League, he actually decided to go home to England, where he played for Cheshire Phoenix in the British Basketball League. He then went back to the Harlem Globetrotters, and now at the age of 31, it seems that he's retired from basketball. If you look up pretty much anything from him for the last year, it's just him playing golf. But the craziest thing is that when you watched any of the documentaries about him when he was a kid, he never seemed to be that into basketball. He never seemed to be that passionate about him. But now when you hear him talking about golf, he seems to be so much more passionate about golf, and that seems to be where his interests lie. It just seems that he's playing basketball because he was 7'8", and that's the only reason why he played the sport in the first place. Paul was able to make a great career out of basketball. He's a world record for being the tallest professional basketball player ever. He toured with the Harlem Globetrotters for years and years, which I know isn't really professional basketball, it's professional basketball entertainment. Either way, he's made a career out of the sport. While his NBA career didn't work out, he got a chance to play in the NBA D-League, which again is something that a lot of people can't say, and he was able to go back to his home country and play the game at a professional level. So Paul Sturgess was one of just the many players that were too tall to play the game of basketball. Even though he was coordinated and he could move a little bit, he was just too tall. His body just wasn't really capable of playing basketball, especially nowadays. Maybe 20 years ago, he might have had a chance to play a couple of minutes in the NBA, but not nowadays and not in the last 10 years. And I honestly think it's going to be the same with Rob Bobroczky. Robert's way too skinny. Even though he's got good touch, he still hasn't improved much in his movement over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's highly unlikely that he ever makes the NBA or even comes close to making the NBA or even a Division 1 college at this stage. However, at the same time, he has the potential to make a solid career out of basketball. Whether it's just basketball entertainment or professional basketball in one of the lower leagues in Europe, he has the potential to make a living out of the sport. Which, to be honest, is something that most people that are watching this video can't say, that they'll be able to make a career out of a sport, which is something that so few people. I'd say 0.1% of basketball players can make a living out of it, whereas obviously there's the 0.0001, that's just a rough estimate, of people that actually make the NBA. Just because you don't make the NBA doesn't mean you can't make a career out of sport, and doesn't mean your career in that sport is a failure. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.